This information came in Spanish. I wrote it in Spanish, but I'm going to translate for you. This comes back to the fact that we are an aspect of God serves the universe, and that we are here to explore ourselves, meaning God is here in a physical body to explore itself. So it says we are a projection of a being that is getting to know itself. That's why we exist at different levels of consciousness in diverse expressions through diverse experiences. Because through all of that is that we are getting to know Source, and at the same time, it's through all those experiences and variations that God gets to know itself. That's why we are here. We are literally projections of God. We are here so that God can project itself through us. That's exactly what we do in our journey to awaken, right? Or when we awaken to our own nature. We start to know ourselves, and we also project ourselves, our fears and desires and our soul and our consciousness in everything we do. We even get projected sometimes in other people, right? We project and we say like, oh, I'm just like that person, or I cannot stand that person, and so on, because we are projecting all of that fear. And this happens when we awaken to our nature, or when we have this spiritual awakening, because it's until then that we become conscious of what we are doing, and we become conscious of our projections, or that we are projecting. Everything has a goal. Every experience contributes to the cosmos, because our process of exploration gives God the possibility to explore itself from that angle, from that perspective. That's why you cannot force your opinions on people, and that's why you should not, or we should not, try to change somebody else's mind, because there is a purpose. Even with rebels or like extremists, or people that believe abortion is bad and so on. I know in that particular aspect it's difficult not to want to change their minds because it affects many other people. But the point is, the reason why all of those different points of view exist different to our own is because they allow God to explore itself. We have heard this before, there is no right or wrong. And sometimes we say this very lightly. What does that mean? There is no right or wrong. It's a difficult concept to understand actually and to embrace, because that means that everything that is in the world and everything that exists, should be there. It has a role, it has a place. Even war, even discrimination, even whatever. We don't like it, right? Like it will be more beneficial perhaps to us as a human race to do not need those things. But if they exist, there may be a reason why, right? Maybe we don't need it, some of us, or some part of the consciousness. And that sounds crazy, I know, but if you haven't heard about Jason Estes, search his profile on Facebook, or I think on YouTube, his channel is called MTVO, I think. There is a video that I can't recall the name that he talks about this. I think he fought in a war sometimes, or he was part of the military at a point, and he doesn't like war, right? And he also doesn't see the purpose of it, like from his perspective. But in that video, he goes like, I understand that even though I don't like it, or there is a reason why I reject that experience, but if it's there is a reason why, right? Which is the same. There is a reason why everything exists, because it allows God to know itself from that perspective. And maybe as we evolve and as we raise our consciousness, source energy that we have understood, maybe when we eradicate those things that we don't like or that are not in our benefit, like it seemingly, right? They will be eradicated when us and consciousness has learned that maybe that's not in its best interest, right? But anyway, in the end, everything exists because it has to exist. There is a reason for that. And you should not force change on somebody else or try to convince somebody else, because change and enlightenment and awakening is an individual process. We need to walk it as individuals, in community and with support, but individually. That's why we are strong. That's why we are all resilient. That's why we have strengths and weaknesses. Because we're here to support each other. With my strengths, I support your weaknesses, and vice versa. We are individuals in a collective consciousness, right? And even though we have to walk the path alone, not really. Like we have to walk the path individually, right? Each of us, but not necessarily alone. And that's why everything is just in plain sight, right? Like it's just there. Conspiracy theories and all of that, science, aliens, all of those things. Even though some of those things are not validated, they are there. Why? Because then it says then you can do with that whatever it is you want to do. You accept it, you reject it, it's up to you, but it's there. You have information. There are no secrets. That's one of the strategies God developed for itself. There are no secrets. I'm not keeping anything from me, but I guess I also need to learn to look for it. I need to express my intention of finding the information I am looking for. And that's why many people are starting to awaken, because it's time. It's time for us to awaken to who we truly are, and we are everything. So it's time for us to awaken means it's time for us to realize we are everything. We contain everything. And that's that.